Once again, we're saluting the class of 2020, this time with a Gloucester High School athlete, softball pitcher, and all-star Maddie Machado, along with the athletic director at Gloucester High School, Brian Lapata, and of course, Bill Newell with us as always. Welcome one and all, and Brian, let's get this show started. We're not out on the softball field today, so a little explanation here.
Unfortunately not. As we know, it's very disappointing that we obviously had to have our spring season's canceled and no school, but it's understandable. I mean, obviously the public safety and health is the number one concern, so we can't argue that fact, but it obviously is disappointing for our student athletes of all ages, but especially seniors. Like today, we've got Maddie here to miss out on their senior year. Thankfully, someone like Maddie will be going on to the next level to play, but for a lot of these student athletes, it's the last time they'd be able to play a competitive sport, be on a team, this and that. So it is frustrating. But yeah, today is one of those days that we're usually used to in New England's spring sports, rainy, miserable, dealing with rescheduling, pushing puddles on the fields and everything. But so that's where we are right now.
Tell me a little bit about Maddie, Brian, because like Carl Hudson, when we talked with him up in Newburyport, he immediately answered, yeah, I want to do this. And he started off with Maggie Pons, one of his athletes, and same thing with you. You immediately went to Maddie, who was a superstar really last year in the playoffs.
Yep. Maddie is your prototypical. You think of the definition of student athlete. Maddie fits that to a glove. She does everything very well rounded. She's been a great athlete for 4 years at Gloucester High School. Obviously, a highlight was last year as a member of the softball team, and I'll let her talk more about that and everything soon. But she was a very integral part of that. As an NEC All-Star for a very successful field hockey program for the last few years. She's been very involved. She's been a leader, obviously picked as a captain for our softball team. And then as far as involvement with school, I mean, I'm doing little profiles now on all of our seniors, and she's one of the ones that has a whole full of things on her plate, that she's nonstop with activities and groups and everything, committees that she's part of at school.
Well, Maddie, let's get to you. I know that this is incredibly disappointing to seniors, to everybody really, especially, you know, as a teacher, the last term for seniors didn't mean all that much academically. You know, you might have taken a few exams and things like that and cleaned up your plate. But certainly for sports, man, this was it. This was a big thing. So how are you dealing with this right now? How are you dealing with the disappointment?
I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we obviously didn't know that like the sports would be canceled, so everyone was trying their best to like stay fit and stay motivated. And so I would go on runs and stuff, and I'm still doing that because I do have another season next year for college. But yeah, we're basically just trying to like stay positive about the whole thing, because it is a hard thing to come to a conclusion about. So we just have to stay positive and just know that it is for the best.
Tell us about your college plans and what you plan to do.
So I'm going to be attending St. Joseph's College in Maine. I'm majoring in nursing, so that's exciting. And I will be playing on the softball team. And I think that they want me to play in the outfield, which will be exciting because I didn't really get to play in the outfield much for high school, but I did do it for my tournament season. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Did they play? I don't know what happened here. You guys still see everybody?
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're good.
Up in Maine, do they play fall softball or spring softball?
They play, the actual season is spring, but we do fall ball too.
Okay. You know, Matt, let's look back on last year's tournament. And Brian, maybe you could mention that, because I just remember just hit after hit after hit. Maddie came up with it.
Yeah, I mean, from what I remember, it was quite a run. It was exciting for the whole team, for the whole city, to have one of our female sports teams go as far as they did, making it the state title. Maddie specifically as a junior, they had a strong core of seniors and then a good mixture of underclassmen. But Maddie was really the impact junior on the team that was involved in the defense all the time. When it comes to softball and there's a lot of small ball, she's the first baseman, and it was like she was involved in everything when it came down to defense. And then offensively, like you said, just a lot of clutch hits throughout the entire tournament run that Maddie had.
Matt, talk to me a little bit about, as a captain, talk to me a little bit about your teammates and that feeling you had from last year, because as I recall, I can't remember if you guys started off fast enough, but you just kept winning and winning and winning. And then the tournament to me was a blur because it went by so fast. But what are a couple of your memories from either the tournament or your teammates?
Well, I think the memory that I remember the most is the try-in game. That was the North Finals. And I think that was the most memorable because the entire game up until the seventh inning, we were going back and forth, like tying it up. And it was a very emotional game for everyone. And then I believe the very last inning, we went into extra innings and we started to bunt. And I'm pretty sure I was the one that started the like the whole bunting thing. And then after that, everyone just started bunting. Everyone was scoring runs. And then I think this final score was 14 or 13 to 8 or something like that. It was crazy. But yeah, that was my most memorable moment, I guess, in the tournament.
Tell me about some of your fellow seniors that would have been your teammates this year on the team. Who might some of those players be?
I was actually going to be the only senior on the team,
Oh,
except this year. We did have a new senior that was going to be playing with us. She was her name's Tiffany. She was a new athlete that came to Gloucester, and so I was pretty excited to play with her. But unfortunately, I never got the chance to.
well,
So what are
let
you
me
doing now?
expand that
I'm sorry,
question
Bill. I'm
if
sorry,
I
Bill.
could expand the question. How about
Yeah.
a few returning juniors then that from last year's team? How about that? I don't want to let you
Yeah.
get off the hook here.
Yeah. I'd say I grew like a bunch of strong relationships with a lot of the girls on the team, especially the younger girls, because I already knew a lot of the older girls. And some of the younger girls, I really learned to like a lot actually, and I was very excited, especially Ella Marshall and Ella DeGaspe-Bobian. I was very excited to continue playing with them and get one last year with them, but yeah.
This is obviously something historic that's going on right now, Matt, and nobody quite knows how to deal with it. You guys are finishing up online and so on. But if you were to talk to eighth graders coming in, either for sports or for academics, what would you tell them about Gloucester High School? Because I know I always had a freshman homeroom, and having every year, it seems like 4 years was so far down the road. But I'm sure it's gone by very quickly for you.
Yeah. First, I would tell them that, especially with the softball program, it is very difficult, and that everyone really needs to really push hard and get to really have the mindset that they can do it. Because I didn't have that mindset when I was a freshman, because I was scared and intimidated by all the seniors. And I think that the reason why I really broke through my junior year was because I started to have the mindset that I belong there and that I could do it. So that's probably the first thing. And then the other thing is, don't take any games for granted. Don't take any practices for granted, because you never know when the last one will be.
Boy, isn't that the truth? My goodness gracious. So what's up? I read that Gloucester High School Student Council has some ideas for what would have been the celebrations that you guys were to have in May and June. You have the parents' banquet, the senior banquet, I guess it's called. You have the prom, you have graduation. There's so much that's sort of on hold right now. So what are some of the things that you and your classmates are talking about?
Yeah, so we actually had a meeting this morning, and one of the biggest things that people have been talking about is prom. And right now, we're trying really hard to make that happen. We had to cancel the deposit that we put down for Danversport because we had to change the time, and it wouldn't the money would change and all a bunch of things would change. So we had to postpone it. We're trying to get a later date in, but we're not really sure what venues will be open and yeah. And then same thing with graduation. We're just trying to figure out a time that we can actually have a graduation with a bigger gathering. And our date was supposed to be the 14th of June. And instead, we were talking about doing a gathering with parents, and you can sit in your cars in a little a parking lot or something, and they'd have a projection of a bunch of people, the seniors, and all the things that they've done, and then we could watch it. yeah, the things that would be a good idea to do.
Do a drive-through diploma grab, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, not
Yeah.
and that's not to take the place of our graduation. We just thought it would be a good idea to like add something in on the day that we were supposed to graduate.
Yeah.
Brian, anything else you want to mention about Ms. Machado or softball or anything with spring sports? Because again, I didn't realize that Maddie was the only senior on the softball team, but you've got a lot of other senior athletes as well.
Yeah, excuse me. We do have a lot of senior athletes. We've got over 40 that play spring sports alone. Actually, in the coming week, I'm going to start doing senior spotlight posts on all of our social media. You see a lot of the different schools doing it, but I've taken our time to try and get all the information on the kids, some good photographs and everything to honor those kids. Obviously, like I said, it's the seniors that they're going to end their careers, or this would have ended a lot of their sports careers. Very few are as fortunate as Maddie to be able to go on to the next level. So these kids aren't having a senior season. They're not having their senior night. They're not getting the exposure on the regular newspaper or media or social media. So figure I'll do these senior spotlights over the next 10 to 14 days, trying to honor some of the seniors specifically that are missing out on their spring sport. To try and bring some positive to it and bring back some of the memories for them. But all in all, our kids have been great at this point now, trying to stay positive, as Maddie says. We've been doing a virtual online conditioning course with a few of our different coaches, hop on Zoom just like this, with about 30 kids or so every other day. And we've got some seniors that come on that still want to work out. We've got some underclassmen, and we've got all sports. So we're just trying to keep the kids active, stay engaged with their coaches, their teammates, their friends, as well as obviously helping with schoolwork and keeping them engaged with their teachers. So that's the goal right now for us.
I have, Maddie, I have one question for you, because as you mentioned, you want to pursue nursing up at St. Joseph's. But so in a way, with all of this coronavirus news and healthcare workers on the front line, you must be kind of involved in it in a different way than some of the other students, I'm thinking, right?
I mean, it's not that I'm more involved in it. It's just I guess I'm more interested in it because in a couple of years when like a bunch of people already know about the coronavirus, if it were to like come back, I would be the one taking care of people, and that just interests me and it excites me. So I don't.
Well, I stand corrected. Interested was a better choice of words. I grant you that. Rick?
Well, Maddie, finally, what are your plans for the summertime? I know you still have to get through May and June. I understand that.
Yeah.
But will you be communicating with with the college, and will you be working out for that program actually before you get up there, or are you going to work? What's the story?
Well, I am going to be working a lot, I'm hoping. And I'm also going to be working out a lot. I don't know if my coach is going to send me like a workout packet that I could do, because I know that a lot of the fall sports do that. But I'm not sure if like spring sports will do the same thing for summers. So I'm going to like ask him about that. And if not, then I'm still going to like go to the gym, like do my own little workouts and like just stay in shape, because we do fall softball, so I will be.
Excellent. And I know Mr. Kearns was your favorite history teacher, but and mathematics was your favorite subject. But what's your best memory of class in school?
Oh gosh, I think that just the relationships that I've like gotten with all the teachers. Like I know Miss Gallo. She's an Italian teacher, but she's one of the teachers that I'll go to just to talk to. And yeah, Mr. Enos, he's my anatomy and physiology teacher. So I like him a lot, and I love his class. And I think that like just the things that he talks about makes me excited to learn. And I feel like not a lot of teachers really like give you that excitement to learn. So
Hey, if you get one, you've done good. That's great. That's great,
yeah.
Maddie. Coach, anything else you want to mention?
No, that's pretty much everything. I appreciate, obviously, you having us on, honoring and recognizing Maddie and all of her work and everything you guys do for all the student athletes.
Well, I was lucky enough to meet her last year during the softball season, and it was so much fun watching you, Maddie. And you had a great group there. But obviously, we feel so bad for you, but we know that you got great things in the future. So be patient and stay optimistic.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm also
Okay.
excited for the team for next year.
Excellent. That's our salute to the class of 2020 with Maddie Machado, Gloucester High School.